A CPU from 2010. Why? Well, as an enthusiast with a budget, I thought, why not? So welcome to the second installment in the 10 years later series. After the last video, I was preoccupied to finding an adequate CPU to test next. Unfortunately, although there were a lot of options, I kept stumbling into the LGA 1366 based systems, so I figured why not. I looked up and some X58 motherboards, but none of them were cheaper than $100. Can you believe it? A motherboard from 2010 that costs more than a new B450 or B365 mainboard. Kept looking and found that the servers equipped with this socket were a lot cheaper, so I went on my local online market, used market, and I discovered this, the IBM X3550 M3 server for a decent $70. The machine came with two E5605 CPUs, which I considered not worthwhile, so I decided to get this, the E5645. It's an incredible $10 CPU that has 6 cores and 12 threads. It might not have a huge frequency, but it's 2.4 GHz, it's the first to be reckoned with. About the CPUs, the E5607s, they will get featured pretty soon. Now I ordered 2 of these, but one of them was not recognizing any of the RAM, so I sent it back in hopes of getting a working one in return. Meanwhile, I decided to test the single old beast. The LGA 1366 socket had support for triple channel memory, a noticeable difference from the consumer, only dual channel setup, and an industry first. Before the LGA 1366 was the 771. Now, this was one of the most long-lasting sockets, except for maybe the 2011 and other variations. Following the 1366 was the less known 1356 and the 2011, of course. Now, for consumers, at the time was present the first generation of Core i from Intel, which represented a huge upgrade over the very performance deprived LGA 775, and of course, for all the AMD fans out there, there was the Athlon 2 series. Now, this 1366 supported all the way up from the i7 920 to the i7 990X with 6 cores and 12 threads at a crazy frequency. Now, the E5500 series and the E5600 series of Xeons were supported on this socket too, with their equivalent of the L and X series as well. The E5645 was the less costing 80 watts TDP 6-core CPU with a decent MSRP of only $554 compared to the whopping $10,059 of the flagship i7 990X. Now let's get into benchmarks, but before that I must mention that I will not be testing any gaming application because of the low clock speed that will set the CPU back. Can hold up decently in 2019. It's similar to a Ryzen 3 1200 or a stock 1300X, which for a $10 worth of CPU is something. Now, do I recommend to go ahead and buy this CPU? Well, if you have a nice X58 motherboard and decent CPU cooler, or you can get this for cheap, is a must. Although I must go ahead and recommend a slightly higher TDP chip like an X5660, which can overclock a lot higher and it's generally better. I will post another video regarding the possibilities of two of these chips, because it's a server. And just a little spoiler, this will compare the Ryzen 5 1600. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next installment of 10 years later. See ya.